See if we can bring home the bacon here, guys. If you haven't seen the last part, I'm feeling a little bit out of it, but still fighting away. Whereas Donny, interesting that he's 3-bet. It's usually quite tight. Pretty good spot to 3-bet, but it's got the short stack behind, and I mean, Mormon opening at that stack depth is probably reasonable. We'd probably rather lose Mormon than Donny, that's for sure. Not that whereas Donny is a fish or anything like that, but it's a slight hesitation, then jam there. I think it's better than just snap jamming it in. So you see I have the discuss deal checked just because, well, I don't know, I just like to check it and then see if others start checking it, or maybe have people thinking that a deal is closer than it is, and therefore potentially playing tighter. But I don't think that's going to happen in this tournament, unless it's King, unless it's one of these guys in purple here, because they're not ballers like the others. You can see here, King Bogart's down a couple of thou, usually plays $23 buy-ins, and the other fish, this QRP Ted guy, I mean, he's down 13k and usually plays 42 buy-ins. So this is kind of a big tournament for them. And 6.5k up top. If they think there's a deal close, they might not take things next level against you. They might just not make that 3-bet, or they might just not open on your blind, or they might not do that 4-bet. I mean, obviously they're kind of short now, so this is just in general, just speaking in general, like in this type of situation. Sometimes, I do find, with 4 or 5 players left, players start talking about a deal, especially if they're low stakes players. And I actually do find sometimes I think it lets me get away with a few more steals than I would otherwise, because they're like, hey, I thought we were going to deal, aren't we going to deal in a minute? Like, they don't want to lose any more chips, because that's just like losing money, equity in the tournament. Wow. Ace Queen. But this is a pretty star-studded lineup here, so although we did lose one of our stars, Mormon. These guys must have all won F-tops between them to have stats like that, because that's just too good. This common Gendo guy, I mean, look at this guy's stats. Bang. How do you get a graph like that? He's just won 400k, and then he pretty much, excuse me, pretty much breaks even. Pretty much breaks even. Quick 400k and then break even. I saw the straight there for a minute and thought we were good, and then realised we were up against quads. So I will be playing, pretty solid here, I think, against these guys. We do have a good stack where we can open up a little bit, but we do have Woo Wizard behind us, who's aggressive and got a big stack as well. We don't sort of really need to do too much right now, I don't think. There's always a good chance that chips will just come to us, where we open and a short desperate stack jams and we have a hand we can call off with, or we get to jam on short stacks, or we get to apply pressure to a player that is vulnerable to, has a big bubble factor, like obviously now King Bogart has a pretty significant bubble factor, because there is a few players shorter than him. This is the sort of spot I'm talking about, where Wu can just abuse us a little bit. A little bit harder for the other guys too. I mean, AD is a little bit harder for him to 3-bet. He still could get away with it just, but you know, it's too much of his stack, I think, to really be that good. And where is Donny? I mean, he can as well, but it was kind of a good spot just to sneak one in there. But we won't be sneaking too many, too loosely. But that was kind of good because we were raising on the short stack too, so that usually gets you just a little bit more credit, and sort of maybe just refrains people from 3-betting just a little bit, which helps you, give you that little bit of extra equity you need to raise a nice hand like Ace-9 suited in that sort of spot. Walkies. Walk the dog. It's not a bad spot to raise on Donny there, but I think he's generally not that loose, and generally probably got a little bit of a hand there. More so likely to have a hand, I think. Happy to kind of try and maintain this tighter image where we can just keep sort of folding and get more credit when we open. Because we don't really need to go out of our way to accumulate. Because we have such a large stack. I mean, we can sort of just pick and choose here and there, maintain our stack, hopefully get a good situation to come up. Like I said, I mean, we've got time, you know, so I think we can be a little bit choosy. I don't want to get into that habit of raise folding against these guys that are likely, you know, to be attacking. And King Bogart's made that mistake where already he's opened a couple and had to fold because of these aggressive players behind. I think it's better just to keep our noses clean for now. We could get a situation where, you know, we open with Ace-Jack here and then Comingendo jams, you know, that sort of thing is great. You know, King Bogart might get short after a bit, and blind on blind we get some situation where we get it in with him crushed. So there's certainly, you know, some opportunities that can come up in time, and you know, AD might just jam when he gets a bit shorter once the blind goes up, and we're in the smaller big blind and get to snap him off with 10s, and he rolls ace deuce or something suited because he's so short. And so all these situations are likely to come up. And so I'm kind of in a bit of a preservation mode at the moment with the stack. And that's not too bad. Wow, he had aces. Johnny had aces. That's crazy. And so yeah, I'm kind of in a bit of a preservation mode. I don't want to lose any chips. And these players are all very competent. The 3-bets and calls, and that was a really nice check back by Donny. Wow. Checked back, and if he had have c-bet the flop, we would have at least called. But we might check turn, I guess, and then value river, so actually might not have been that much different. Unless we got aggressive and raised flop, but don't think he's going to do that in that situation. I could be wrong. I think this spot here, Wizard's just better jamming M10 on AD. Unless he knows that he doesn't jam light in that spot. Because you can't really call if he jams. But he's got ace-8. It's that middling sort of hand. AD can jam pretty wide. And he seems very aggressive. So I don't know why he just raises with it. Unless he's hoping AD will 3-bet to like 12 and then jam. I mean, if that's the case, that's nice. But I don't think AD would normally open himself up like that. I don't think AD was normally going to open himself up to being jammed on by an aggressive player with a big bubble factor. It was such a big raise pre, it's just awkward to deal with. We could just call, but I think even if we just call, you know, the jig is up. Oh my god, how bad do we run final tables? Unbelievable. Full tilt swung back into action. Punishing us for any run good that we had earlier. That's just disgusting. Big chip leader with a T-Rex. And just grotesque by that fish to be able to do that with fours. Is full tilt just laughing at us now? Just, haha, you thought you were going to run good. Just really gross. We would have had 240,000, knocked that guy out. 7 left, chip leader, 240,000. And now we're just one of the crew. Just one of the gang. Short. Battling for survival. Tough spot for Donny there. I think he did probably have to call. Scott guy was only M3, I think. And just annoying for him, but that's how it panned out. Not as annoying as it was for us. But Falls was the Falls was played as bad as possible. It really was. I think he just got 3-bet a couple times earlier, and he's just like, I'm not folding, man. Come on. But we put half of his stack in. Half of his stack in, and then he's obviously crushed, or maybe if he's lucky in a flip and we have ace king. Ace queen as well, we probably do that. So most of the time he's crashed. Once in a while he's in a flip. You know, we probably have 8s or better there. So it's like 8s, 9s, 10s, jacks, queens, kings, aces is like 7 times 6. What's that? 42. Is it 42? 42 combos that crush him. 32 combos he's flipping with. Roughly. Might do it with a little bit wider than that, but... And ICM's huge, and he's got no fold equity. He couldn't play it any worse. The best way for him to play that is to min, or even maybe limp, and then if he gets attacked, he can jam with fold equity, and you can see what happens behind him. But to just put in like a 4 or 5x raise, then get 3-bet, and still get it in, it's like... You couldn't play it any worse if you tried. I mean, open shoving's better than that. Open shoving is much better than that. And folding is better than that. Played it as bad as possible. Oh man, it's so annoying. Would have been the big chip leader. It was good while it lasted, but we're going to run good. That little bit of full tilt run good we had was sweet while it lasted. It's been years in the making. I think you could go either way, top right. Seventeen and 4. I feel like he has ace queen and king queen a lot here, which is obviously bad. But I don't think I'm gonna just give up. Quite. He might have 9s. Tough spot for him if he's got 9s. I think it's just one of those cases where he had a better hand, but it's just one of those cases where aggression pays. Telling a pretty convincing story, we're getting pretty good leverage with our stack. Just bringing in some audio post-game here, guys. Yep, got the Kings against our friend King Bogart, who spiked the 4 on us before. Pretty nasty stuff at a final table, obviously, especially in the fashion that it happened. But what are you going to do when they come for you? And then Donny's range here is going to be pretty big, pretty strong, obviously. He's probably taking, jacks up and ace-king. And he happens to have the big tamale. And that is the end of that chapter. So it is unfortunate the way that we started running at the end of this session. As this session goes to a close, there's actually another hand too where I have kings. I don't know if it's quite in the recording. I think when I get down to one table, I think I might actually... 1 or 2 tables. Let me just have a quick look, actually. Let me see... Yeah, we end up getting down just to the one... Do we get down to the one table? Yeah, we get down to the one table and bust with kings against ace-jack. So that's going to be at the conclusion of this part. Not a good finish, obviously. Full of... we still have got some scores. It's still nice. 800 plus from full tilt and whatever. But, it's just annoying to get into the final table with a big chip lead and... just have everything fall apart on you. The chip lead in general, I think it's a little bit overrated. A lot of people think that it entitles you to a big finish. But in these tournaments, the way they're structured online, a lot of the time, it doesn't take much to sort of go wrong. Which for us, it was just a couple of hands. We lost with the kings against 4s and then ran kings into aces, and that was it. Chip lead gone, devastation, we're out. So... it can happen just as fast as that, and then it can happen, the other way sometimes, where you're sort of short and then all of a sudden you pop up quickly. So this sort of thinking you are the chip lead, entitling you to a first sort of top position, you still have to, and that's why I still, if I can, like to maintain the aggression and try and get non-showdown winnings, because you just never know when the wheels are going to fall off on you. A lot of times it's not your fault, it's just the way the cards go, the way things play out. And there wasn't a lot we could do in full tilt there, but I apologise for this session, this sound quality. The battery on the mic went down. And also just apologies too for the general voiceover in general. I was obviously feeling, I recall I was feeling really bad this session. Just had a really sort of sick feeling. I don't know if it was something I ate or what it was. And just in general at this stage of the series, to be honest, guys, I was getting pretty run down. I hit this series pretty hard. I came out sort of, especially in the early, I knew it was going to be tough early because of our buy-in restrictions. And so I was doing some pretty long sessions there. I think some of them were like 14 hours plus. So, I hit it really hard. And anytime you do that, it starts to take a toll after a while, especially for me because I live in Japan and I'm on, it means I have to go into night shift to play all the good stuff. The T-Rex starts at about 4 a.m. And some of the other stuff I play, like the Big 109, I think starts at 1 or 2 a.m. So, it's just right in the middle of the night for me here in Japan. And when you're doing long hours and you're playing through the night, you're not always getting a lot of sunshine, a lot of exercise. It does start to take a toll, I find personally. So, it's just part of the gig, part of playing poker and something you have to factor in. But the fact that I get to record these sessions and share them with you later makes it a little bit more worthwhile for me. But especially when things go bad like this, feel the pain, brother. Feel the pain. It's just one of those things, and you just take the good with the bad, and it's like any sport you'd play. Sometimes you might just have injuries, or you might not be feeling well, and you just got to do what you can, and just try and poker's no different. You just got to. Sometimes it's taxing. Sometimes you're not playing 100%, or things aren't going your way, and you just battle on as best you can, and on it goes. And now I think at this far into the series, I was starting to get particularly drained. Hopefully, there's still some good poker left, don't get me wrong. I think in this part in particular, we saw, in this series, part 27 here, we did see it sort of taking a bit of an effect. So apologies for that. And hopefully next part, I haven't actually looked at it yet, reviewed it. But hopefully the battery has been replaced and the mic's clear, and hopefully I'm refreshed. Touch wood. Hopefully that's the case. And so this is it for the commentary this part, guys. Thanks again for joining me. This has been Acesup for PokerNerve.com. And also, don't forget, guys, I will be starting a new series soon, or at least I plan to anyway. The sequel to this will probably be 3 months, 50k. I know, it should probably be 60, but you got to be careful biting off more than you can chew. So having just said how this can be quite taxing, and it's tough to do a bankroll challenge like this, I'm going to do it all again. What a madman. It's crazy. Must be completely crazy or something. But the truth is, despite it being tough sometimes, I do love it. And hopefully you're getting something out of it as well. So thanks again for joining me, and I'll see you next time.